Have you felt it? That low, persistent hum beneath the surface of your days. A subtle vibration in the architecture of your reality. A feeling that the ground you've been walking on for years is about to shift in a way you can't quite predict. It's not anxiety. Not exactly. It's something older. Something more primal. It's the feeling of a story approaching its climax. And you, Scorpio, are the protagonist. Standing center stage as the lights begin to dim and a single, intense spotlight prepares to find you. You are on the precipice of a great unveiling. A shocking twist of fate that is already in motion. Destined to arrive before the 11th month of the year makes its presence known. This narrative is a map of one possible river. A tributary of the vast cosmic ocean of potential. If the journey it describes speaks to the landscape of your soul, then take what you need from its currents. Absorb its wisdom. Feel its momentum. And let it carry you forward. If it does not resonate, that is perfectly fine. Simply view it as a story for another traveler. And let it flow by. Knowing that your own unique path is unfolding exactly as it should. This is not a prophecy carved in stone, but a mirror held up to the potent energies that are gathering around you. For you, it is an invitation to explore a profound possibility. The story begins not with a bang, but with a whisper. A question that has been echoing in the quieter chambers of your heart. For months, perhaps even years, you have been engaged in a monumental task, the construction of a life. You have been the architect, the builder, and the resident of a reality you carefully designed. Each relationship, each career choice, each routine, each belief, they are the bricks and mortar, the windows and doors of the fortress you call your identity. You know its every corner, its strengths, its hidden weaknesses. You have defended it fiercely, maintained it meticulously, and presented it to the world as a finished masterpiece. But the question that whispers in the silence is this: is the fortress a sanctuary? Or has it, over time, become a gilded cage? This is the first stir of curiosity, the initial tremor that signals the coming earthquake. You begin to notice things you previously ignored. You might see a crack in the foundation you thought was unshakable, a sudden, profound moment of dissatisfaction in a job that was once your pride and joy. You might feel a draft coming from a window you thought was sealed shut, a conversation with a friend that leaves you feeling strangely unseen, as if they are speaking to a version of you that no longer exists. You start to question the very blueprints you used to build this life. Were they truly yours? Or were they handed to you by family, by society, by the expectations of a past self you no longer recognize? You walk through the halls of your own existence and feel like a ghost, an observer in a museum dedicated to a life you are no longer certain you want to live. Now, the chaos begins to seep in. This isn't an external force laying siege to your walls, it is an internal uprising. The carefully curated art on your walls begins to look like propaganda for a life of quiet compromise. The comfortable furniture feels less like comfort and more like sedation. The very air within your fortress grows stale. This chaos is subtle at first. It's the rising panic you feel on a Sunday evening. A feeling far deeper than the typical workweek blues. It's the sudden, inexplicable urge to drive in the opposite direction of home. It's the way you look in the mirror and see a stranger staring back, their eyes pleading for something you cannot name. You are haunted by the ghost of a potential you, a version of yourself that chose a different path, a wilder, more authentic existence. The universe, in its infinite and sometimes terrifying wisdom, will not allow this quiet rebellion to remain quiet for long. It will send a catalyst. This is the first part of the shocking twist. It arrives not as a single, dramatic event, but as a series of synchronicities that are impossible to ignore. You'll hear the same obscure song 3 times in one day. Its lyrics speaking directly to your silent struggle. An old acquaintance you haven't seen in a decade will call you out of the blue, describing how they left everything behind to pursue a wild dream. and you will feel a pang of longing so sharp it almost brings you to your knees. A book will literally fall off a shelf in front of you, opened to a page that contains the exact words you need to hear. The world around you becomes a conspirator in your own liberation, relentlessly poking holes in the illusion of your carefully constructed safety. This escalating chaos forces a confrontation. You are forced to admit that the fortress you built to keep the world out has also kept your true self in. The security it offered came at the price of expansion. The stability it provided came at the cost of passion. The identity it gave you was a uniform, not a skin. This is a painful, disorienting realization. It feels like a betrayal. Not by others, but by your own past self who made these choices, believing they were the right ones. You may feel anger, grief, and a profound sense of loss for the years spent maintaining a structure that was never meant to be your final home. You are a king or queen surveying a kingdom that has turned to dust in your hands. And then, in the heart of that dust and disillusionment, comes the reflection, the moment of profound clarity. The fortress was not a mistake. The cage was not a punishment. It was a chrysalis. It was the necessary structure that allowed you to grow, to develop, to become the person who is now strong enough to break out of it. Every single brick, every sealed window, every defensive wall served its purpose. It protected you when you were vulnerable. It taught you the skills of discipline, strategy, and resilience, the very skills you will need for the journey ahead. You do not need to condemn the past, you need to thank it for its service. You are not destroying your life, you are graduating from it. This realization is the key. It turns the chaos of destruction into the beautiful, organized chaos of rebirth. The twist is not that your life was a lie, but that it was a perfect, temporary truth. And its time is now up. This newfound understanding launches you into a new cycle, a deeper layer of the unfolding drama. With the walls of your personal fortress dissolving, you are left standing in a much older, much vaster landscape. The new curiosity is no longer about your life, but about your lineage. You begin to feel the pull of unseen threads, the weight of ancestral stories that are woven into the very fabric of your DNA. You start to wonder, why do I have this specific fear of scarcity? Why do I struggle so intensely with trust in relationships? Why do I feel this compulsive need to control everything around me? You realize you are not just untangling the knots of your own life, but the tangled legacies of generations who came before you. The chaos that follows this realization is profound and deeply unsettling. It's one thing to deconstruct your own choices, but it's another entirely to confront the patterns that have been playing out in your bloodline for centuries. You may have a sudden, vivid dream about a grandmother you never met, feeling her sorrow as your own. A family secret may come to light, a story of betrayal or loss that suddenly explains a deep, unspoken sadness that has always permeated your family gatherings. You start to see your own struggles mirrored in the lives of your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. You see the same battles with power, the same heartbreaks, the same silent sacrifices, replaying over and over again, passed down like a cursed heirloom. This is the karmic reckoning, a quintessential Scorpio experience. You realize you are standing at the end of a long, dark hallway, and you have been chosen to be the one to finally turn on the light. The burden of this feels immense, almost crushing. You are not just fighting for your own freedom, you are fighting for the freedom of the ghosts that walk beside you. This can manifest in your external life in deeply challenging ways. A conflict with a family member may erupt, bringing all of this subconscious patterning to the surface in a raw, painful confrontation. You may feel an overwhelming urge to distance yourself from your roots, to sever ties, believing it's the only way to escape the cycle. This period is a storm of inherited emotions, a whirlwind of past and present, where your personal identity feels completely subsumed by a larger, more ancient family saga. It is the dark night of the collective soul. But you, Scorpio, are uniquely equipped for this work. Your soul chose this. You are the alchemist of the Zodiac. The shaman who is not afraid to walk into the underworld to retrieve the lost parts of the soul. After the storm of karmic chaos, a deep, resonant peace begins to settle. This is the reflection. You understand that you are not cursed, you are chosen. You are the pivot point. You are the breaker of chains. The struggles you have endured your entire life. The very things you thought were your greatest weaknesses, your intensity. Your obsessive need to understand the truth. Your ability to feel things so deeply it hurts, are, in fact, your greatest strengths. They are the sacred tools you were given to perform this ancestral healing. This shocking twist of fate is the realization that your personal transformation is simultaneously a collective liberation. By healing your relationship with power, you heal the ancestor who was powerless. By learning to trust, you soothe the spirit of the one who was betrayed. By choosing authentic passion over sterile security, you honor the dreams of those who were never allowed to chase their own. You are not abandoning your family by changing, you are offering them the most profound gift imaginable, a new ending to an old story. You stand as a gateway to a different future for your lineage. A future free from the patterns of the past. This doesn't mean you have to consciously fix everyone. It simply means that by embodying a new way of being, you transmute the energy for everyone. Past, present, and future. Now, standing free from the personal fortress and the ancestral shadows, you enter the third and most externally dramatic cycle. The new curiosity is immediate and practical. What happens when this reborn, authentic version of you walks back into your old world? You have changed fundamentally on a cellular, spiritual level. But your job, your friends, your partner, your daily life, they are all still configured to the old you. The architect of the fortress. What happens when a force of nature tries to fit back into a carefully manicured box? The chaos that erupts here is the true, visible shocking twist that others will see. The universe will begin a swift, ruthless, and ultimately compassionate process of energetic realignment. Anything and everything that is not a vibrational match for the new you will be unceremoniously removed from your life. And it will happen before November. A career that you've tolerated for years will suddenly become unbearable. An issue with a boss or a change in company policy will force your hand, making it impossible for you to stay. It will feel like a crisis, a disaster. But it is actually a divine intervention. Bulldozing a path that you were too hesitant to clear for yourself. Relationships will be tested to their absolute limits. Friends who were comfortable with the people-pleasing, contained version of you will suddenly find your newfound honesty and boundaries jarring. They may call you selfish or reckless. They may accuse you of changing, unable to see that you are actually becoming more yourself than ever before. Some of these friendships will fade away quietly. Others will end in a fiery, dramatic confrontation. The most challenging test will often be in your most intimate partnership. If your partner fell in love with the fortress, they may be terrified by the wild landscape you now inhabit. The relationship will be forced into a crucible. It will either be forged into something stronger, more honest, and more profound, or it will shatter completely. There is no middle ground left. This period will be tumultuous. It will look and feel like your world is falling apart. You may lose a job, a relationship, and a group of friends in a stunningly short period of time. From the outside, it will look like a catastrophic failure. People will whisper. They will judge. You yourself may be tempted to believe that you've made a terrible mistake, that you should have stayed safely inside your fortress. The chaos is the deafening sound of old doors slamming shut, one after another, leaving you standing in a silent, empty hallway, wondering if any new doors will ever open. The temptation to panic, to scramble back to the familiar, will be immense, but this is where your Scorpio resilience, forged in the previous cycles, becomes your anchor. You breathe through the fear. You sit in the emptiness. And then, The reflection arrives. You look back at the trail of closed doors and you do not see a path of destruction. You see a path of liberation. Each door that slammed shut was a cage you were freed from. The job was a cage of security. The friendship was a cage of old expectations. The relationship, if it ended, was a cage of inauthentic dynamics. You realize the universe was not punishing you. It was clearing the stage for your next act. It was creating a sacred vacuum, a holy emptiness, into which your true destiny could finally flow. The shocking twist is not that you lost everything, but that you were finally freed from everything that was holding you back. This brings us to the final phase, the arrival itself. Right before the threshold of November, having weathered the internal and external storms, you now stand in a place of profound clarity and quiet power. The curiosity is no longer a question of who am I, or where do I come from, but a simple, thrilling, and terrifying question, what now? The stage is clear. The script is unwritten. And the spotlight is on you. You are no longer reacting to the past, you are consciously creating the future. The final chaos is not a storm, but the vertigo of absolute freedom. For so long, your life was defined by walls, by patterns, by the expectations of others. Now, there is only open space. This is the ultimate test of faith. The choice that will present itself is not a simple fork in the road between two known paths. It will be a choice between a well-trodden road that leads back toward a new, better fortress, and a path that appears to lead off a cliff into the unknown. The opportunity that arrives, a new person, a wild idea, a chance to move to a new city, an invitation to start a creative project that makes no logical sense, will not be safe. It will not be practical. It will not come with a guarantee. This choice is the culmination of your entire journey. It will require you to trust your intuition on a level you have never experienced. Your logical mind will scream no. The remnants of your old self will beg for the comfort of the familiar. The ghosts of your ancestors will watch in breathless anticipation. This is the moment where you must fully and completely embody the spirit of the phoenix. You must be willing to leap, trusting that you will not fall, but that you will finally, truly, learn to fly. The chaos is the internal battle between the last vestiges of fear and the soaring call of your soul's purpose, and so, we arrive at the final, empowering reflection. The shocking twist of fate that arrives before November is not an event that happens to you. It is the person you become. The twist is the grand unveiling of your own authentic power. It is the realization that fate is not a script written for you, but a story you are writing, moment by moment, with every courageous choice you make. The arrival is not a destination, it is the beginning of a new way of living. A life lived from the core of your being, guided by intuition, fueled by passion, and unafraid of transformation. Be ready, Scorpio. Not by building new walls or preparing for a fight. Be ready by softening. Be ready by listening. Be ready by trusting the deep, undeniable wisdom that has been leading you through this entire process. The hum you have been feeling is the rhythm of your own awakening. The ground that is shifting is making way for your true foundation. The shocking twist is simply you, finally meeting yourself, face to face, in the mirror. And this time, for the first time, the reflection you see is not a carefully constructed identity, but the raw, magnificent, and untamable truth of who you have always been. The journey was not about finding your destiny, but about becoming the person who was capable of choosing it. And that choice, that moment of pure, unadulterated creation, is now, finally, here.